Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is so good to see each and every one of you on today. That means we're all doing well.
Yes, yes.
We may not have all the money in the world, but we have all the love in the world. How about that?
We have our help.
The money's coming. The money's coming.
Oh,
we have our help.
Yeah. So I guess what it's just I be want to do so much at the beginning. It's like, what do I do first? So what I do want to do first is give us like maybe another 60 seconds. I had a few people to text. We know that during this pandemic, a lot of us are learning to do a lot of things that we weren't used to. You know how they used to tell us, this is gonna make you grow up fast. So a lot of us and a lot of our partners and friends and family are having to grow up fast. So we're gonna be a little patient with everyone. And I definitely appreciate you all's patience. Anyone that knows me knows I love to start everything on time. And so I actually was speaking to, had a conversation with my pastor not too long ago, and he was like, I know you're so structured and everything has to be 1, 2, 3. He said, but you're gonna have to learn how to be a little more patient. And I was like, I am being patient. And he was like, I guess not. Okay. So I put myself in timeout, and we are allowing all of us to grow in this season. So we're going to allow just a few more seconds for everyone to kind of log in. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about why we are here. And so I'm navigating the screen that I'm on, plus an additional screen so that I can accommodate our guests. So I guess I'm asking for you guys to be patient with me as well. So let me tell you a little bit about why we are here. I have a foundation that's called the AK Legacy Foundation. And the foundation really came after I've done a lot of the work. I put the footprints in the sand and, someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, you should do this through a foundation. I was like, okay, I'll get to it. So during this pandemic, I got to go ahead and get everything in order for the foundation. It didn't change anything except for now I have a presence on the web. I truly believe the mission of my business has been the same, which is my mission in life, and that is to educate through awareness. So part of why we're asking the experts is because a lot of times we don't normally get to talk to experts unless, it's some dire situation. And sometimes it's often a little too late most of the time when we finally do talk to the experts. If you go to the doctor and they say, well, we're going to have to refer you to a specialist. Oh my. So now we're paying attention and we're getting an opportunity to speak to a specialist or an expert. So on today, my goal is to put you guys in an environment with experts in their field so that they can educate us on certain topics, certain things that'll help us in our business, help us in our ministries, help us in our personal lives, or whatever the case may be. So Ask the Experts is a panel. In the way that it works, we'll have a panel discussion. I have some questions that previously came in from my client base or through social media or whoever was able to get a question to me as an opportunity to seize the moment. So the way the panel will work, I will ask a series of questions to the panel, and then from there, they're gonna answer the question. If time permits, we will actually have live Q&A. But in the meantime, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. And usually you can find the chat in the same, on the same line where you would mute yourself, unmute yourself. There should be a button that says chat. You can just click on that. I have already put a message in there. So I'm gonna type the number 1 just so that everyone is kind of familiar of where the chat box is. So if you can bring your attention to the slide presentation, I'm gonna introduce our guests. And they're not in any particular order. I probably should have done it in alphabetical order or something, but it was just in the order that the person that did the flyer. They said, send me the pictures, and I sent them the pictures, and this is the way that it was designed, and I love it. So our panel discussions, Q&A, we will hear from Ms. Marlene. She's a real estate agent, and she is a personal credit specialist. So we are definitely want to hear from her on today. She's going to kind of give us some education of some things that are going on. I saw one of her live videos not too long ago, and I was like, ooh, this needs to be told to the world. Then we're going to speak to Ms. Robin. She is a nurse. She's a mental health specialist. We're going to let her tell, they have all those fancy titles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's important. And she knows she's so humble though. She just has a sweet spirit. She doesn't like to be put on the spot. So I'm gonna put her on the spot today. She's gonna grow up fast today. So and then we're gonna hear from attorney Sean Pulliam. Yay! He is still in celebration mode. He passed the bar earlier this month. He got his I think you passed the bar last month, but you got your degree this month. However it went, we're still in celebration season. And so he's gonna come and talk to us about our intellectual property. And some of you may be saying, what is that? Great. That's even more so the reason why you need to be on here today. What is intellectual property? He's gonna talk to us about that. And we're gonna also hear from Naomi Pittman. She is a communication expert. And I'm like, okay, so she's gonna teach us how to talk. And she was like, no, not quite. So she's gonna bring us up to speed. She is a American Sign Language expert. She also gives some very, very important information. And I think we have an attorney on here. I guess they can kind of collab on some of the information as far as what is required when you're doing all your Facebook Lives and all your Zoom. How are you reaching those that are deaf or impaired? There is an actual law that can get you a fine if you do not meet their standards. I was like, okay, so closed caption it is. So we're gonna dive right into it. They have some very impressive resumes, but I wanna tell you about all four of our guests. No matter how fancy or how glam their resumes are, they're very true to what they are on paper. They have earned it. They have put in the time, they have put in the work, and they deserve all the accolades. But these people have a heart for people. And I don't care. I know a lot of attorneys. I know a lot of nurses. I know a bunch of credit specialists, but everybody doesn't have a heart for people. So I'm very, very careful about who I bring on to speak to my audience, because I do understand that information has impact. So I want to make sure that it's coming from a credible source, which means they have to actually have earned the degrees, or they have to know what they're talking about to earn the title of an expert or a specialist. But beyond that, if they were not experts in their field, I would still want to do business with them. I would still want them to speak to you all because of their attitude, because I have seen them do the work. I know their integrity is up here, is unmatched. And so with that, I mean, that's enough right there. And I truly appreciate them taking the time out of their busy schedule. I don't know if y'all staying at home for real, or what. We're gonna put some tracking devices. Are you guys staying home?
Yes.
Okay, so if the experts are staying home, guys, take it as a hint. We need to stay home too. So I heard someone on social media yesterday. He said until the White House start taking tours, his home is closed too. So I was like, okay. All right, so we're gonna dive right in, guys. And our first speaker for today is gonna be Miss Naomi. Yay! We're gonna throw her right in. We're not gonna give her a chance to chicken out and back out on it. And so we are gonna start with you, Miss Naomi. So I'm just gonna leave your bio up so that everyone. I'm hearing a little feedback. Is that me, guys, or? Make sure that maybe the way that we're having a little feedback, that may be Naomi. All right, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We can see you.
Good.
Okay. All right, Naomi. So I'm gonna just get right in it. The very first question: what is the big to do about the closed caption? I know lately a lot of ministries have been doing service, and a lot of them did not have closed caption, and you were waving the flag like no, 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 no. So tell us all about that.
Okay, one of the reasons why I was waving the flag about ministries not doing closed caption, because their audience members, some of those people are deaf, are hard of hearing, are deaf blind, as well as other disabilities that are in that bracket. What needs to happen is to make sure you have accessibility for all. And so equal accessibility means that closed captioning, sign language services offered gives that access and gives that level of communication equality that is needed. So when you don't have that, it's the same justices of a person who is hearing and sight, or putting earmuffs on them, soundproof earmuffs, and saying, go out into the world and communicate some kind of way, even though they wouldn't have access to that communication. So this is just offering a level of access that would be equivalent to another hearing sighted person that helps even the playing field. It helps make sure that everyone that has access to information is going to be able to provide service, even for themselves, be able to reach out to people that may want to know more about the Lord. If it's a ministry or church or a temple or a synagogue. They may want to know this information, and you grant them access to it so they can practice their religion of choice, as well as other organizations operating in that function. Right now, the laws are limited and they may not require every bit of ministries and nonprofits to do these things. If you receive federal funding, it's becoming more and more stipulations put on it to make sure that you have accessibility for all the people that you will be servicing, whether you know if you're servicing them or not. So the public, if you're servicing the public, it's a really great idea to start looking into it now, even if you may not have it. I'm not saying be anxious about this, but make sure that you are starting the process. Because if you are starting the process, it proves that you are trying to provide that equal access. Don't stop there. Keep on producing. Keep on going after it. Make sure you're getting the right contacts for the interpreting services, as well as the information. If that interpreting service doesn't have closed captioning people, what interpreting services do. So that's why it's important to have them, because you're granting equal access to all of the public that you might be servicing.
All right, well, thank you. I thought it was really cute when I turned it on my YouTube channel. I was like, oh, this is cute. I felt fancy, like I felt like I had a translator. But you're saying taking a step further, and even in some cases, you can even actually have a live interpreter, such as yourself.
Yes. Like for instance, a lot of the broadcasts that the White House was doing had closed captioning available, but it did not have sign language interpreters. So the public did have uproar about that, and they started providing the sign language service on top of that, because everyone is not literate. It's just the truth. Hearing people, sighted people, as well as people who are hard of hearing, deaf and deaf-blind. So just providing English format may not be accessible still for all people. So adding the extra layer to say, hey, I'm gonna make sure that I'm trying my best to provide something in your language, in your first language, that you will be able to access the same information, the emergencies, the warnings, the signals, and all of that, to make sure you are keeping yourself safe as well.
All right.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
That is great.
Good to know. So if you guys can just give me 1 second, I'm going to see if I can do something about the feedback, so that I want to make sure that I'm in compliance, that I'm able to let everybody hear us loud and clear. So hang on 1 second for me, okay? And while we're holding, I'm going to let Ms. Robin come on and tell us a little bit about this. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And don't worry, I'm gonna properly introduce everybody in a little bit, but we just kind of wanna relax the atmosphere. So Robin, tell us a little bit about May being Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I know sometimes it's a strange subject to some, but not to others. And the challenge that we have in mental health is the stigma among mental health. You're not able to see someone and look at them that they have a mental health or illness, but alcohol, drugs, family dysfunction, violence, suicide thoughts, unemployment, that all involve mental health. And now that we have coronavirus pandemic, a lot of the clients are depressed because of unemployment. Isolation, being in the home. The family members the parents are trying to deal with being home due to unemployment, and then having the kids at home and learning each other. Just communicating, because prior to this, everybody was working, everybody was going to school, and the kids are isolated, and now you're learning how to help the kids with their homework. So you have the anxiety level that's increasing. So those are some of the things that mental health compensate for, and those are some of the things that as a profession that we deal with in mental health. And also just knowing what mental health is and mental illness is. This is just a state of mind being. Even like, for example, you have a family member, and that family member, she always have upkept her hair and everything, and all of a sudden you notice that she's not talking. Or when you go to her home prior to this and her blinds are down and she doesn't want to eat, that's mental illness. That's some things that dealing with the mind and depression. So that's what Atkins is about, is meeting the clients at their level and educational about mental health.
All right, well, don't go anywhere. We have a lot of questions for you. And so don't go anywhere. So I want to have Ms. Marlene to come on and answer one of her questions, just so that we can get everybody familiar with who we have as our experts on today. So Ms. Marlene, in regards to what I saw that you posted the other day, kind of bring some clarity to that. During this time of pandemic, there's so many freebies that people are thinking are freebies, and it's affecting their real estate and their personal credit. So can you give us a snapshot of what that looks like right now during this pandemic?
Good morning. Hi, everyone. Well, what I think, what I believe, and what I know about this mortgage forbearance, or just called forbearance. I mean, student loans have forbearance, different loans have forbearance. But what I'm talking about specifically is the mortgage forbearance. It may sound good, that program. That program looks like the lenders, your lender, will give you 3 months with no payments, making no house payments, mortgage payments. But the thing to keep in mind is at the end of that 3 months, you need to come up with that lump sum of those 3 payments, plus the current payment. So that's 4 months worth of house payments that you need to have. Now, to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if you could afford the house payment, you wouldn't have forbearance, right? You wouldn't be putting it on. So what can possibly happen is not being able to make those 4 months worth of payments. And in the long run, the major possibility is a foreclosure. People have lots of equity in their homes right now in this real estate market. And if your home goes to foreclosure, you have not only lost the home, but you've lost all of your equity. That is a horrible situation to be in. And I wanted people to understand about this forbearance program. There's also some little quirks about the program that is my understanding in the fine print, right? If you're thinking, or if you want to know more about forbearance, the people you automatically think about talking to is your lender, right? So you would make a call to your lender, ask them questions. But if your lender gets a call from you and you're starting to ask questions about forbearance, they're going to start recording that call. And whether you take the option of forbearance or you don't, you are going to be penalized for up to a year to be able to do anything with your home financially. Meaning you can't get it refinanced. You're not going to be able to get a HELOC, which taps into your equity so that you can use it to live on. Some people need that in order to, that's where their money is in that home. You're not going to be able to do those things for a year just for merely asking questions from your lender. If you decide to take the forbearance program, you're going to be, I don't want to say punished, but
hey, it is what it is.
But it is. You're going to have to deal again with that year that you can't do anything with your home, as well as the amount of time it takes you to pay back those 3 months worth of payments. So some lenders are giving a little bit of leeway that maybe after those 3 months, you don't have to come up with a whole chunk sum. They may give you an option, it's up to them, give you an option of saying, okay, well, you can do this in the matter of the next 6 months, but you still have to keep making your own current payments. They are going to penalize you. There's the word. They're going to penalize you a year and 6 months from you being able to do anything with your home financially.
Wow. So, and then I heard a little something in there. She said that we normally tend to call our lender. I would suggest you call someone else that's not your lender. So that's why it's good to have good connection. Reach out to the realtor that sold you your home.
Reach out. You can even reach out to another mortgage person. And ask those questions. As long as it's not your lender, you can ask questions about the forbearance from a mortgage loan broker, from another mortgage person. Maybe your realtor knows, or maybe your realtor doesn't. It's really important to me that, like you, Candy, about educating my clients. Mm-hmm. And I started this with the credit stuff 15 years ago. It's important that we understand that whole credit system and how that game works, so that we can play the game and come out ahead on it. We get in trouble because we don't know how that system happens. And I always say that we learn about credit from voices, you know. This happened to my sister. Or a lady at work told me about this credit situation, but nobody ever sits down and tells you the whole factual information. So that, along with now, I help my clients get qualified for their mortgages. And once they get qualified, then we take them out, we find their forever home, right? But we walk them through that process because I don't want to leave them hanging in any of those spots that is possible, that could happen.
Right.
Trying to purchase a home, trying to get that credit in place. And now when I heard about this forbearance, it's like, oh my God, these people, all people need to know about that process and that having that conversation.
Right. And so I appreciate you sharing that. Don't go anywhere. You know, I have more questions for you. I just got to tell y'all how I met Marlene. She's actually my sister. She does, you know, but we just kind of got separated at birth or something. But Marlene, I went to we went to my credit education company that we're both in. We're in a mutual company. And I was at the airport. I finally decided to go to the home office, you know, visit the home office and all that. And so I get off the plane and I'm standing at the baggage claim and I see this other lady standing there too. And we kind of wait, you know, like, hey, she's really sweet. I thought she looks so nice. She's like, she just seems so welcoming. Well, we were going in the same direction, so that was pretty cool. And so I get to the hotel, I put my things up and I walk in the room and the room is full of everybody. And I see Marlene again. So, you know, quite naturally, I went to my safe place. I said, I remember that place. She was nice to me, so she's gonna be nice to me today. And I sat next to her and another friend of ours. And we talked, we were not paying attention. We talked that entire conference. We were exchanging numbers. We were getting to know each other. And we just had a very good time. And I want to say that was in 2014 or so, maybe.
Oh, I think it was a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, maybe 2013, 2020, because I joined the company in 11. So maybe 2012 maybe.
Okay, yeah.
So we've been friends ever since. And she lives in Denver, you guys. I actually had a chance to go out for a mutual client to show them some things, and they were looking to get some property. And quite naturally, I said, let's call Marlene. And she was very hospitable. So I can go on and on about Marlene and all my 911 phone calls like, hey, Marlene, I got a question. So we're going to mosey on over to Mr. Sean Pulliam, attorney Sean Pulliam. So we want to let him come on. I have a quick question for him, and make sure I unmuted him. All right, so Mr. Sean, everybody
yes,
now, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing just fine. Tell your wife I said hello.
She's on. She's
okay. Hey, Dr. Trina. his wife did a class for us on last month. So we're going to have her back on, I think on the 27th. And so she's going to come and talk to us too. So, hey, a great power couple. Glad to have their presence. I have both of them. Yay. So I'm, I felt like I struck gold on this one. So Attorney Sean, everybody now is a social media specialist. So tell us about us business owners, or even in the personal realm, those of us who are putting our content out. And some people are in panic mode. They want to make sure that they maintain their clientele base, so they put in all their best content on the World Wide Web. And so tell us about our intellectual property. What are we doing with it during this time of pandemic?
Okay, well, let me define it first.
Yes.
Some people may not, we hear the term sometimes, IP, intellectual property, but property, when we think property, we think houses, cars, stuff. That's all stuff we can touch. It's tangible. So your intellectual property is intangible property. It's stuff that you own, you have rights to, but you can't really touch it. It's an idea or concept. So when you're putting your brand out there for your business, your brand is a part of your intellectual property. When you create video content and put it out there, you create webinars, you create classes, those are all intellectual property assets that you're creating. And they're all protected differently. There's actually 4 different classes and 4 different types of protection. And the protection is different based on what type of intellectual property asset we're looking at. So at the real high level, you have patents, you have trademarks, you have copyrights, and you have trade secrets. And 3 of those are meant to protect you as the business owner or the person that has the rights to the intellectual property. One of them is meant to actually protect the public and to protect everybody who would consume your product. So trademarks is the different animal. It's the one that is intended to actually protect the public, even though you still as the business owner have to file for your trademark, get your trademark, protect that interest. It's meant to avoid what we call brand confusion. So if I say something like, just do it, we all know it's Nike.
Right.
It, tell you, Lay's potato chips. That's a brand, but it belongs to Frito-Lay. I mean, there are things that make a product recognizable and you know who the manufacturer is, so then you have an expectation of who made it and what the quality is. And that's what a trademark is intended to protect. So to get to the question you asked, when you're putting content out there and you're putting things out there, when you put your business out there, first and foremost, your brand is your trademark. And the second you put it out there, there's some measure of protection for you. So as soon as you start doing business under that name and under that brand, there's a measure of protection for trademark. It is isolated because there are at least three different levels of law that's in play here. There is common law, and that doesn't apply to all of these, but it does apply to trademarks. Then there's state statutory law, so state written laws, and then there is federal law. So you can protect your brand by simply being in business under common law and generally under state trademark law. And what that does, it protects you within your local geography. So wherever you're doing business at that time, that brand is protected to let people know, oh, this company is here. But a person like Marlene doing business in Colorado, her brand name and her business name wouldn't be protected in New York or Florida.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because nobody there knows her and knows that business under that name. The funniest story about that, not to go too far afield, but is Burger King. There's actually a little area, it's one of the cases we had to study, where there's one little area where this company existed before the franchise Burger King existed, and they called themselves Burger King. So in that little geographic area, they are still Burger King. It's everywhere else in the country, it's the one we all know. So, so to get the nationwide brand protection, you have to file and register a federal trademark, and there's steps to that. Now, the other things that you do, the content, the videos, that's all protected under copyright. So that's a creative expression, a story, a video, a song. Those creative expressions, once they are committed to a form and expressed, whether they're written and composed, played, recorded, drawn, if it's artwork or sculpture. So once it's reduced to a form, now you have a copyright in it. And that is a set of rights that protects it. So you see this with YouTube all the time, because when you're playing music in the background that you don't own, you can get a video pulled because you don't own the copyright to the music. You may own the copyright to the video content that you're putting out there, but the music you're using underneath it belongs to somebody else, and you technically should have their permission before you use it.
Oops, you pick a fine time to tell me. I had music playing at the beginning. And I got it off of YouTube. Okay, make a note of that. All righty. So don't go anywhere. I'm sure now we have even more questions for Attorney Sean than we did originally. We thought we knew we were going to ask. Now I have a whole list of questions. I did hear federal and local. So that kind of ties into what I tell a lot of my clients. Yes, you have your federal tax ID number, but you have not registered with the state. So often, sometimes we get one part of what we need and not the other part. So so Attorney Sean, I appreciate you telling us that, because I saw the expression on Marlene's face. She was like, well, wait a minute, I own this. This is my name and nobody else better not have this. But you just told us we need our local and our federal. So I think we're all taking notes of that, and we're going to make sure that we're on our A game with that. So don't go anywhere. I have some more questions for you.
All right.
Naomi, so we're going to come back to you, young lady. I want you to, I don't know if everybody can see Naomi. I hope you can. So we're going to put Naomi on the spot. I'm going to ask Ms. Robin to kind of give us some ideas of what we can do to help if we think we have a family member that has a mental illness, or how should we approach that? Because I know I've mentioned before, being a minister of the gospel, a lot of times we're so quick to tell people, oh, just go pray about it, give it to Jesus, and send them on their way. But they may actually need to have a real conversation with a licensed professional mental health counselor. So how would we even enter into that conversation? And while you're giving the answer, we're going to ask Naomi to do the American Sign Language to just show you guys how it works. So Robin, you now have an official interpreter. You know, this is a glimpse of what's to come. So go ahead.
Well, how will we find out is that person in personality? If that person is always happy, smiling, and all of a sudden you see sadness or loneliness, even that individual come up to you and said, I need to talk. That can show some signs of depression. They want to talk. I mean, they need someone to listen to them. They can be hopeless, or they just have so many things in their mind, and they just need to just have a talk with someone. We also have to make sure that we have someone that is accountable partner, that when they know you're in depressed, they can really tell this is not the same. This is not her personality. Something is going on with her. And then that's how the conversation can open up. And I think another thing that can happen is, like I said, the stigma. We should all be able to talk about how we feel, how our day is going. And that's the way that with counselors, just getting the help and being able to call someone to let them know how you're feeling. And don't be judgmental if someone say, you know, I feel depressed. Because another thing I noticed, even like you said, being in church, you know, just religion. If you tell someone, I don't feel well, I feel depressed. And then you get that look, well, you know, you can't be depressed. That's not what God said. Okay, but in other words, we still need to be able to sit down and listen, and that would help.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
just being there and listening is more important.
Right, and I think if we can lift the stigma of mental health, if someone comes to us and tell us that they have cancer, we're like, oh, stop, pause, what can we do? And we start doing all these things, having these parades of love and sending gifts. I mean, we just kind of just turn flip. But the minute a person tells us that they may be suffering from a mental illness, we kind of shy away from. And I know Marlene won't take offense, but in our culture, we really like, girl, you know, she's crazy. And we just really call that, oh, that's the other race illness. We don't get that. And that is not true. So so I appreciate you bringing that up. So don't go anywhere, we'll come back. And we want to thank Naomi. Oh, she's interpreting me too. Oh, I feel special now, you know. Hey, I have arrived. Let me straighten up my jacket, you know. Thank you, Naomi. So Marlene, I'm gonna come back to you. When we were talking about this time of, you know, taking awareness of our real estate, what about our personal credit during this time of pandemic? What are some of the red flags we should be paying attention to make sure that our personal credit stays safe during this time?
I'm sorry. There I am. I'm unmuted. All right, cool. Hold on a minute. Everything went crazy here. Okay, so your personal credit. There is a federal law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And that law gives us a right to see our credit reports free once a year from each of the 3 agencies, one from TransUnion, one from Equifax, and one from Experian. No cost. I'm going to give you a website that is directly linked to those agencies, and you can go and you can just pull one of your credit reports. You don't have to pull all 3 at the time, but pull one and really take a look at the things that are being reported on that. The website is annualcreditreport.com. annualcreditreport.com. And you want to take a look at the items that are listed under derogatory, negative. Those are the things that are hurting you. Credit has 2 pieces. One of them is the credit report. That credit report is the product of TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. It's our information, but they sell it to whomever will buy it. The second piece of credit has to do with your FICO scores. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian do not create FICO scores. FICO scores are created by a company called Fair Isaac Company. And they are the law of the land. 99% of the lenders and creditors use FICO scores to give you the thumbs up or give you the thumbs down. That and reading what's the negative things on your credit report affect your ability to get credit. So the other piece of this of credit are those FICO scores, and there are simple tools that you can use every single day to add points to your scores without creating any debt. I make sure my clients know that information and I coach them through those tools so that they are using it from now until the day they get old.
Right. So Mr. Sean, one of the questions that came in, it said, how does an IP attorney assist me in my everyday business?
Okay, so several different ways, actually. So just doing some research prior to this and finding out that most businesses, about 80% of the business's net worth is in their intellectual property. So you will have to protect that asset. And that's what you have to really think about it as. It's an asset. But if you have, if your business is in the process of creating products, developing or enhancing processes, then you may have some patentable materials that are coming out of the everyday or day-to-day of your business. So you're going to want to protect those ideas and protect those concepts to allow you to exploit them before other people get to commercially exploit those ideas. So there may be some patents that are involved. Copyright, again, it's as you're developing content, especially in this more digital age, that content needs to be protected. If you're writing books, and again, publishing the book automatically generates copyright, but there's still some formal things that you probably want to go through to just put the rest of the world on notice. Hey, by the way, I have this document out here. I have this book out here, which is submitting your documents to the Copyright Office. Protecting other forms of expression. One of the things that we do with Pull Corp with our clients is when they have a book or story, yes, we've got the book, it's published, that's great copyright, but then we'll turn around and say, okay, you want to register that with the Writers Guild of America in case someone wants to come up with a screenplay or a short story or a documentary film, any other type of expression, you want to try and protect that. And then the one thing I didn't mention, I mentioned patents, trademarks, copyrights. There's another thing called trade secrets. So anything that you use in your business that gives you a competitive advantage that you don't allow your competitors to know, the general public to know, and you are even protecting it within your own company because of the advantage it gives you, is a trade secret. Having an attorney, especially an intellectual property attorney, that can look over your protections, your NDAs with your employees or anybody else who gets access to this information, can make sure that if for whatever reason that information was leaked or got out, that you have some protections in place that helps you recover your business and your business is not crippled.
Thank you, thank you. I know that in my business, I guess I'm not an attorney, don't know a whole lot of stuff. I call people like Sean. But when I hire people to work with me with my clients, especially with my tax clients, I have them to sign a waiver or a hush clause or something that says that, hey, you can't take this information and use it for your own. And a lot of times we only think of that when it comes to legal documents. But from talking with you, Mr. Sean, we're learning that just our spoken word can be protected as well.
Yeah. Generally, expressions are potentially protectable, and you have to look at, do I need to protect it? Do I want to protect it? And how do I protect it?
Great, great, great. Miss Robin,
Yeah.
I was waiting on you to kind of give a little snippet, but since you didn't do it, I'm gonna do it. Miss Robin is a nurse. She works in the field. And she was at the hospital, was that back in March, and you were helping, you was on the front line. And so we are so glad to have her here with us on today because she has recovered from contracting COVID-19, helping on the front line. So we are extremely happy.
Thank you, God.
So one of the main questions everybody wants to know, where are we in your industry, among talking to other nurses and doctors, where are we now with the COVID-19?
Well, like I said, they are doing the contact tracing now, which is coming through CDC, where they're contacting people who's been positive with coronavirus. They are calling them to see who have they been in contact with to let them know. And pretty much The signs and symptoms of coronavirus that I always tell clients is 4 signs and symptoms. It's coughing, fever greater than 101, shortness of breath, loss of taste and smell. So those are the 4 things that the doctors and the nurses are looking for you to call your physician, or either if your temp greater than 101 to report, come to the emergency room and let them know that you are having those symptoms. So that's where we are now with the contact tracing, and I think now what they're trying to do is an antigen that they draw in blood to see whether or not that individual have the coronavirus virus.
Okay, great. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to have you to come back and, we have a few minutes left. And so what I want to do is I want to give each of our experts an opportunity to tell us how they can assist us, how to contact them, give us a quick 10-second spiel of, their best foot forward. And because we do have a community of business owners on here, but potentially we may have some individuals that don't own a business, but primarily everyone on here owns a business or tied to someone that does. So we'll start with you, Marlene. Tell us, even though you're in Denver, doesn't matter. I know that you can assist us in some way or another. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you can assist us.
I offer education. I'm like Candy. I'm big on education. I'm big on making sure that people have the correct information and knowledge about this credit and about the real estate. And also now with the funky financial stuff that's going on during this virus time. Credit-wise, I can help people throughout the country. I'm not just limited to Denver. But what I do is important because I not only educate and give knowledge, but I offer solutions, real life solutions, not just out of the book, not just surface solutions. We're talking everyday factual solutions. And then I walk my clients through that process and help them with their goals and get them through that process. You can give people information and walk off, and hopefully they take it and they do what they need to do in order to get to their goal. But it's much better to help them hand in hand, because most people will take that information, lots of people will take that information and go, oh, that was really great, I'm going to do that, and set it down over here on the side, totally forget or don't implement it all. So I'm right there. I'm right there coaching them one-on-one, walking them through this process. And they're my priority, my passion.
Yeah, and we can tell you just have a nurturing spirit about the whole thing. And it just shows in your work, it shows in your conversation that you're concerned about the people. You're not just, when you're concerned about people, the money will come. So that is great, and that's why you're so successful. So I appreciate you. So don't go anywhere. We might have a last minute question for you.
Okay.
Really, really appreciate your support. So Ms. Robin, tell us about your healthcare facility and how you can assist us no matter where we live. Tell us about it.
Well, at King's Healthcare, we've been established since 2006 after Katrina, knowing that there was a need for the undeserving population and the minorities. So we do counseling. I have a psychiatrist, a licensed professional counselor, mental health counselor that goes into the homes for community support service and psychosocial, where they help with probably helping someone fill out an application for unemployment, educational tools, helping the children and stuff with their homework, job finding, literacy program. So those are some of the things that we help with through the community. And also my main goal is hope, trust, and well-being. My motto is, and I know you heard the phrase before, but I believe it. If I can help someone along the way, am I living shall not be in vain.
Yes, yes.
And that's what I stand on.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. I think I heard that in my song. One of my favorite songs by the Clark Sisters. So before I let Mr. Sean and Naomi give us their spiel, I'm going to tell you guys why we are here. And part of the mission, I know I mentioned it at the beginning of our conversation. I asked that everyone jot down the website when we end the presentation. Just go by, browse around, look at the website, leave us a positive message. This organization, like I said, it kind of caught up with what I was already doing. And I'm just so passionate about it. Education is my purpose. I know that. And with that, I'm like a sponge. I soak it all up and then I want to give it all back out. So we had to come up with a formatted way so that I can be protected with my intellectual property, that I can make sure I protect my credit, and so that I can stay sane, and so that I can make sure that I don't offend anyone with my words. And so we put it all together and we put it in this foundation. And our purpose is to, all the funds that we receive is so that we can do things such as this. There's a fee associated with everything. Even though it says free to you, it's at a cost to us. So we're just asking that you support us in one way or another. If it's a one-time donation, if it's a service you want to volunteer, we're all across the U.S. So we can help anywhere. And we're more so as a funnel, because there's so much information out there. It can become information overload. There are so many predators that are looking for people who are vulnerable, who are seeking help, and then they're coming in with their scams to try to take a monetary gain on someone else's misfortune. So our foundation is more so of a filter. We'll find you the right person that you need to speak to, or give you a reputable referral. If you're looking for an attorney, we can call Mr. Sean, and he may say, well, I can't help with that, but let me give you someone else. We can call Naomi, and I can say, hey, I have this person that is hard of hearing, or they may be deaf, or they may be blind. Can you help me to help them? I have the resources, but I don't know how to communicate with them. So with all those things, we have a network of people that are willing to help us, that are already doing the work. So we basically partner with them to get the services and the education out to everyone. So I'm asking everyone to kind of just support the foundation. Even if you don't give a monetary donation, that's fine. There are other things you can do. You can share the website. You can come on these meetings that we're having, just showing support in numbers. And so this podcast today is funded by the AK Legacy Foundation. So we really appreciate just the awareness of it. And of course, we'll always accept the donation. And we have 3 programs within that. So I'm not going to give all that. I want you guys to go to the website, check it out. And just this month of May, we're sponsoring one of the organizations. I see Miss Felicia is on here. One of the organizations that she is helping to feed. We're giving 10% of all our proceeds to that organization. They are feeding the frontline workers. So Ms. Robin, I know your people can appreciate that. Someone bringing them a hot, fresh, Southern cooked meal out of the vending machine. So every effort, we it's a small part, but it's the least that we can do. And so just kind of go on there and check it out. And so that's my spiel, my 30-second pitch on why we have the foundation and what we are doing. And I appreciate you all being on here today. So we have a few more minutes, and we're going to get some last minute questions in. So Naomi, what I would like for you to do is to tell us really quick, how can we utilize your service? I'm sure everybody on here, especially all of us now, social media, famous people, we could really use your service. So tell us how you can assist us. I have to unmute you, I'm sorry.
I would be able to assist you just with public awareness and accessibility for all, as far as the community is concerned, and different terminology that you might be unaware of when communicating with those who you're offering accessibility to, including and not limited to the LGBTQ community. Not just LGBT anymore, it's Q, because they are non-binary people, which means they don't identify as either female or male. So they have a different addition to the group that they are actually putting at the forefront of the name as well. So I will be able to help you with that. My email address is Pittman, my last name, Naomi, my first name, @gmail.com, and you will be able to contact me through that.
All right, thank you, Naomi. All right, so Mr. Sean, you know, it's your turn. Let us know how you can assist us. I know that certain attorneys they can only work in their area, in their state, but tell us how you can help all of us, no matter where we are.
Okay, so yes, you're right. Attorneys generally can only work in states where they are licensed, where they have passed the bar exam or otherwise come in to be licensed with the state bar. So I am in Texas. I have licensed Texas attorney. So any state matters in Texas, I can potentially assist with. But trademarks, copyrights, patents are primarily handled at the federal level. So I can help anyone in the country with those matters. So we can help you through our firm determine what type of protection you need and then start the process to actually generate that protection.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys. And so one of the things I do want to, the last question, and we'll give each panelist an opportunity to answer that. And then from there, I would like for you guys, the panelists, for you guys to look in the chat and make sure that you don't miss a question from someone that's geared towards you. But I want our audience to know if you have a question that you did not get answered, simply go on the website, go in the contact us section, type your question there. We will make sure that we get your question answered either directly or we will forward it to one of our panelists. And so, and also we will post this replay of the broadcast today, sometime tonight on the site. We'll post it on there so that you guys can replay it. You may have a family member or someone that's at work and they can't tune it in to watch, but they can watch the replay later. So our last question for all of our panelists, and I guess we'll start with Marlene. Tell us if you have a bit of advice, because we are speaking primarily to a business audience or those that are inspiring to start a business. What gave you the courage to take that leap of faith? Because I know your how you got into real estate. You have to go on her page and visit her and spend some time with her. So tell us, what gave you the courage to take the leap of faith to start your business?
I started a long time ago. I remember having jobs and standing in front of an office window and just thinking, God, there's something else out there. There's something else out there. And it took me a long time, and I searched a lot of different companies. I searched a lot of different products, and I guess I'm just an entrepreneur at heart because small business is really important to me. I have a hashtag called Crazy About Small Business, and whatever I can do to support small business wherever it is, I'm right there. So it was scary, and it's still scary at times, but I know that if I stay on track and I keep in contact and I am honest and I am trustworthy and I keep my passion burning, people are drawn, people come. I have people that worked with me years ago and are now referring their kids to me.
Wow. Wow.
So it's just really staying in relationship. I'm all about keeping relationship, whether they use my services or not. I'm all about keeping up with my clients. I'm calling. I am making calls to every single one of my clients on my database just to check in to see how they're doing, how they're feeling. Are they safe? And if there's something I can do to help.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. And like I said, there's a question for you in the chat too, Marlene. All right, Ms. Robin, you went to school all those years and got your nursing degree and went to this and took this exam and you did all that. And then you said, you know what, I'm gonna start my own business, and you open up a healthcare. What were you thinking?
Well, like I said, I have a compassion for people, and being a nurse, I guess I was 10 years I was the nurse, and then I decided that there was a need for mental health, even in the hospital. A lot of clients didn't know where to go, where to get the information. So definitely a need after Katrina. So my husband and I decided to open up an outpatient rehab clinic. Prior to that, I had a door supply company. So we always have streams of different things, ideas and vision of different business and stuff. So I knew mental health was one of the things that we really need to establish in Louisiana.
All right, and I appreciate that you said multiple streams and we believe in having different types of income, different streams of income, and we honor those that are working in a career profession. We need our doctors, we need our lawyers, we need our postmen. We dare not look down on anyone with a job, and a lot of times entrepreneurs, because we're so free-spirited, so they think that we that having a job, a structured job or corporate job is not pleasing, and it is. I believe that whether it's a corporate job or an entrepreneurship, your part in this earth is important. What are you doing? Are you working in your field? You have to be passionate to be a nurse. I mean, I don't even have any words for that. Yeah, that has to be your purpose, you know. So I appreciate everyone that is working in their field, whether it's their company or they're working for someone else. I really appreciate that. So Naomi, you have 20 years of experience in dance, and you do fine arts, you do sign language. It is so unique. So what gave you the bravery to be what's considered unique? It's not every day. We see hundreds of attorneys. No shade to you, Mr. Sean. But we see, you know, we see a lot of doctors and nurses. It's so common, but your area of expertise it's kind of rare. Well, at least it's rare to me. So, what gave you the bravery to say, you know what, I'm going to do something that's unique to me because I am unique?
Well, I've had I guess a little bit of tenacity all my life about things. I've felt empowered from the people that surround me to make sure that if I'm going after something, make sure I give my 100%. So with that said, I always desire to make sure that if I was offering a service, a consultation, anything to someone, that I made sure that it was quality and it's 100% of myself that I'm offering to that person. I'm making sure that they get everything they need from me as far as resources go and as far as my skill level goes, and that they get what they desire from me pretty much. It's often that people might say, oh, you know, you went above and beyond, but that's always been a goal, to go above and beyond, to make sure that the person feels the love, sincerity, the joy, the peace that I try to bring to the table, to make sure that their day and their life goes about change after having met me.
And anyone on here that have young children, my babies are 20 and 24, I think, and I got a new grandbaby. So, but when they were younger, and they would say some of the weirdest things. Oh, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. I would embrace that and go and buy a telescope and a whole bunch of stars and moon. I would just nurture what it is. My daughter, I have bought a piano. Not a piano, a guitar. My son took piano lessons, and they're not doing nothing with none of that. But at that time, they were just trying to figure out where their niche was, what their purpose was. So I say to anyone with small children on here, embrace and encourage whatever their visions are, because everybody's not going to be a nurse. You know, we don't want everybody to be a nurse. There's some people, if I saw them in a nurse uniform, I'd run. So everybody is not going to be what we ideally think. So embrace the uniqueness of our children and encourage them to do things, and let them know they can be an attorney. And if you have a young boy who doesn't identify with being something positive, we can make a phone call. Hey, Mr. Sean, there's this 5-year-old who says he's going to be an attorney. Can you give him some words of encouragement? You just never know where the children will come out. Just embrace their things, their uniqueness, so that they can get their skill set. And the reason why I brought that up is because a lot of times we put in a box of good job, in a box of bad job. Like someone could tell Naomi, why would you want to be a sign language? You can't make any money doing that. You need to go and get your law degree, you know, so, and vice versa. So we just want to encourage everyone to be okay with your profession, be okay with your dream, your entrepreneurship skills, whatever it is that you want to do. So Mr. Sean, it is now time for you to tell, did you already go? Yeah, you already, no, okay, so tell us, I'm sorry, go ahead.
For me, it's a little different because I spent 20 years in corporate America between two major Fortune 100 companies. And the last one I was in, I saw changes starting to happen. And they told us, and not only did what I saw, but the company told us, hey, we're not going to be doing business the way we've done it the last 50 years. What's coming up next is going to be different. So employees, you need to find your own path. So that was actually, something to embrace, to say the company's actually paying attention and telling us up front, hey, we're going to have to shift what our workforce looks like. But what they chose for me as a career path in their new workforce was not something I really wanted to do. And I always had a love for law, and then when I wound up going down a technology path first. So like I said, I spent 20 plus years in the IT field first. And then when we started our media and business consulting group, which was, I'll save that so that when everybody comes back next week for my wife's story as to how the company actually got formed. But it became apparent to us very quickly, we need to either hire an attorney or one of us is going to have to become one. So, you just finished school, I'll become the attorney. I want to do that. And I can use my technology background to go into intellectual property law, which adds on also entertainment, sports, all sorts of areas of law that kind of are covered under IP. And so that's how, at the 44, 45, I made the decision that I'm going back to law school part-time, make that transition, and then had to stop because had an opportunity to promote within my company that I was planning on leaving, but I knew it was an ideal opportunity that if I was going to stay with them even while I finished the degree, I had to take advantage of. And so that brought us out here to the DFW area, and wound up putting school on hold another year and then starting over for another 4 years to finish the law degree part-time.
Wow.
But yeah, I finished the law degree in May 2019. So I was able to get my Juris Doctorate and then pass the February bar exam so that I am now licensed and practicing in Texas. And I still have one more test I got to take. I have to take the patent bar so that I can actually practice in front of the USPTO and be able to file patent applications for folks. So I'm still studying, still learning. And I will leave you with the comment of just plan on being a lifetime learner because things are changing rapidly in this environment. We're always going to have to learn something.
Wow. Well, I need to bottle that up and tell my clients that, they have not been embracing this Zoom social distancing service. And I'm like, look, I love you, but email it to me. So I appreciate that. And so Mr. Sean just eliminated all of our excuses of, well, I have a job, I'm too old, I'm too young. He just threw all that out the window. So
I'm raising 3 kids.
Children, and he's married. So you can't say, well, I'm married, or he's married too. So, and you can't use it that he's a black male. He has eliminated all the excuses. So we esteem him high for that. Marlene has shown us that we can have longevity if we do right. We don't have to be conniving or to get over to be successful. She just gave us her testimony of her longevity. And so we're encouraged by Naomi to embrace our creative style and don't be afraid to step out and to be unique. So we thank you for that. And Ms. Robin, we thank you for your victory of combating the COVID-19 and being here to educate us on it. And so we're gonna take that victory and we're gonna glean off of that for a little while. We're gonna borrow your victory, but we're only gonna do it for a week because I need you guys back here next Wednesday.
Yes, we'll be back.
Let me tell you. let me tell you who we're going to have on next week. I want to give kudos to Miss Felicia Guimont. She's out there. She gave me, she opened the doorway for me to meet Mr. Sean and his wife, Dr. Trina. But I met Robin at church, and so we're like sisters for real. And then Naomi, I met her through a mutual business friend, Desiree. And so I'm just forever grateful. It kind of goes back to building relationships. That's what I hear. Everyone on here, I met you through someone else in business, or in Robin's case at church. And so that what connected us. So relationships is very important. So on next week, we will have Ms. Kitty Arsenault. She is a 7-time published author. So we definitely want to hear from her. She's going to tell us why we need a book for our business. We're going to have Ms. Tanya Bryant. She is an educator. She has been a teacher for 20-something years. And so now she's in her business is she helps teachers. So who's better to help teachers than a teacher? So she's going to teach us about organization. Oh, Lord. So yes, she's going to help us out. Dr. Trina Pulliam, which is also the wife of Attorney Sean, she is going to come and talk to us what is the purpose of a publicist and why do we need a business coach and how to navigate through that whole thing, because we know on social media everybody now is a business coach. So she's going to give us some wisdom and some insight. She's going to give us the real. And so then we're going to also hear from Miss Brooke Duplessis. She is a social media expert. She teaches classes and webinars. Some of us on here have had the pleasure of taking some of her classes. She's going to give us some tips on the social media, which is forever changing. Just like Mr. Sean said, we need to take on an attitude of having a lifetime of learning, because they keep changing the stuff. The minute I get my Facebook algorithm down packed, they change it. So I am going to be glued next week, taking notes as well. I may even look into getting a facilitator so that I can take some notes. So I ask that you guys stay with us, spread the word. We will be here every Wednesday until June 10th will be our last session. And then from there, we'll go to monthly. So starting in July, it'll be monthly. So every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, I apologize for going over. We do advertise it from 11 to 12, but you know how we do. So we're going to work on that time structure. So we're going to make sure that we get you guys. I appreciate you all taking the time out of the middle of your day and tuning in with us. And I appreciate everyone. And I will make sure that if you have any questions, put this back up here, go to our foundation website, go to our contact page and put whatever your question is, whatever your concern is. If it's a word of encouragement, whatever, put it in there so that we can respond to you properly. And I just want to thank my panelists. Thank you, guys.
Very welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Andy.
So like I said, we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 11 a.m. God bless.
Be well.
Bye. Nice meeting you guys. Thank you for the information.
Amen.
You.